Have you ever wondered or wanted to know how to create real rust like we have on this Axial stand here? Not the use of weathering powders or paints, but creating real rust, real texture, real metal, just real rust, as you see here on this. So here I have my good old Rusty, and it's perfect truck to rust up to show you guys how to create real rust. Now this old King Hauler, I got this just to beat on basically, take it through the woods, take it anywhere. It doesn't just have to live in a box and wait till some truck meet where we can run it in like a safe environment where it's at less risk of getting broken. So this way I can enjoy my truck whenever I want, wherever I want, however I want. So it's good just to have one of these in your collection and not just have all these fine fancy showpieces. And metals. Now my dad, I grew up on a scrapyard. My dad used to have a scrapyard while I was growing up. So I'm quite aware of metal and different types of metal. So for this I'm going to be using iron filings. So you want to be using something that's going to corrode fast. Now iron, once mixed with oxygen and water, will corrode in no time. So like I said, I'm going to be using iron filings for this project, and I'm going to be using a bit of glue to glue it on there and some water with some added salt to accelerate the process. Now as we all know, take Blackpool Tower for instance, it's by the seaside, it's where the salt's in the air blowing. They paint that, make it look all nice, pretty and fresh, and you go back to it a week later and it's just rust. It's all surface rusted all over again. So we're going to be using iron filings, salt water for this process. You can do it with water, but it'll take it a little bit longer, but I need to speed that up for the video. I'm looking at old Rusty here and I'm thinking, what do I rust? Now it doesn't really matter what I rust on this. I'm not going to go and start detailing and weathering in little rust patches here, there and everywhere. I'm just going to rust a whole complete panel for you, whether it be a hood, a wing, a door or what. But yeah, we'll come to that in a moment. So your ingredients, you are going to need a little squirty bottle to add your water and salt, some PVA glue, various paintbrushes depending on where you're rusting, weathering or whatnot, and a bit of masking tape to mask up your areas, because obviously you guys, if you're detailing this, there's going to be places you don't want rust. With this I don't care, this is just like an instructional how-to video, and look at the state of it, it don't make no difference. And also you're going to want some iron filings. Now just up the road from me we have a raw iron works where they make gates and fence posts, stuff like that, all kind of things. And a few years back I was able to go in and just ask for a bag of iron filings. I do believe you can buy this stuff on eBay and online, Amazon and all that. Just search iron filings and you can buy it by like 100 gram bags and things. It's my go-to tool for rust. Like I say, weathering powders, they look good, but if you're gonna go for that rusty look, why not just go for real rust? I'm gonna prep my truck now. I'm gonna mask off where I need to mask off. I am gonna flatten it down with a bit of sandpaper, just so we have a bit of a better bond for the glue. Now there are stronger glues out there you can use, but a watered down PVA mix is ideal. So the first step you want to do really is remove your body, your cab, whatever from your chassis, because the last thing you want is going to be like iron filings and stuff. getting into like your motor, if you're running MFUs or Servonauts and stuff like that, the last thing you want is bits of iron getting in there. That's just going to end up messy and disastrous. So for this, I've decided I'm going to go ahead and do the front wheel arches. Now, as I had this painted up like pre-primed and red primer and grey primers and yellow primers and all various primers, and I wanted it as a trucking restoration, should we say, for the reason I don't need a fancy paint job. Then if it goes out and gets scuffed or scratched, I can just blast it with primer again, job done, and it's fixed. So we could work on it with the front fenders, arches, and it looks like the rest of the trucks kinda already had fresher panels, should we say, and we're still in need of arches. So I'm going to do the whole arches. So to do this, I am going to have to remove the little lights on the top, your little amber markers, and the headlights. So not much, but glass doesn't rust. And we'll remove these little air tanks from the side just for a bit easier access. Only a few nuts and screws. So that's the air cleaners, the marker lights and the headlights removed. So we're basically just roughing up the areas just to get a good bond with the glue. So now the arches have been prepped. I know they don't look prepped at the minute, they are all wet so they look shiny. But they are dulled down and there is like some scoring in there to help like bond the glue better. So that's now masked roughly where I want it. I can't seem to find my flexible masking tape. I had it the other day specifically for this video and now I've lost it. So I'm just going to use this household crap for now. It's your preference on what masking tapes you use if you are masking. As I said earlier, this is just my truck to beat on, so to be honest with you, I'm not bothered. I'll go and rust the whole thing if needed. May as well just take this thing off because it keeps swinging in my way. It's a pain in the ass. I've just added some water to my glue just to thin it out a bit. The water will dry but the glue will stay, so you don't end up with big like clumps of glue on there. It will just paint on like water, but your glue will stay intact and water will dry, as I say. So I've watered this down, 2 parts glue, 1 part water. So I've got some lukewarm water here just to help dissolve the salt. And this is just normal household table salt that you put on your fish and chips. Give that a good shake and get that salt dissolving. Won't take long, salt is a very fast soluble. So that's basically the basic preparation out of the way. Sometimes you might not even need to prepare. Like I say, I'm just doing the wings, the arches, so I've had to. If you're just doing little blobs here and there and dotting on the edges, then there's no need for the hassle of all the preparation and masking and all that. Like I say, I've just done that to separate the fenders to the hood, or your wings to your bonnet, depending on where you're living. Now this isn't an instant process. It's not a case of you're going to apply the iron filings, squirt it with salt water and poof, rust just magically appears. That's not the case. Like I say, I'm using salt water to accelerate the process, meaning it's going to take only probably a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. Now the key is, once it's applied, is to keep squirting it, and when it dries, add more salt water, and eventually you will have that level of rust where it's just real. It's not a fast process, although it is quick to do in this respect, but the final end result is going to take you a couple of days. But it's just a case of... So we can kind of say we got step 1 out of the way, and there's the thin glue. So all we're going to do is literally paint up the arch, just brush paint in like you're painting your fence or whatever, I don't know. I'm not going to be putting it around there because the chrome headlight cover has to go around there and I don't want rust in it. And depending on how good you are with a brush, you won't need to mask at all. But I don't know if you can see that glue there clearly, but it's not overly thick as you would expect. So we'll just keep painting it in there, spreading it around. Now remember to stroke it in like diagonal ways, lengthways, straight ways, back, forth. Just make sure that you're getting all that glue in everywhere. Now what we want to do is just leave it a moment. Luckily for this one, I am doing both arches, as I forgot to hit record then, as I just went over the other one. But not to worry, because I can show you here. I've just popped the glue on, so again I've just got to leave that a minute, and this time I will make sure that it is recording. Right, on this piece of paper I basically just have the excess from the other arch. So I'm going to sprinkle this over here. Saves me doing it by hand. Well, I'm still going to need to do it by hand, but just pour it on. And to get the insides, just lift that up on an angle, and just make sure you're getting everywhere that's wet. Tap any excess off. If you're unsure about anywhere, just keep going over it. The excess will always come off, and you can always reuse the excess. So there they are, covered in iron filings. So I'm going to leave this now for a short while, just to make sure that PVA glue and the water is all fully dried out, and then we can give it another tap just to get any more excess off. But already, if you look up close, you can already see the texture. I know it's a bit glistening at the minute, but this is actually going to go rusty. But that is, it's real metal, real texture. I mean, I've just piled it on for the video. If I were doing this to like a show truck or doing something a bit more intricate, then I'd take my time a little bit more and pick out details a bit better. But just as an example, you know, with the front being full of iron filings, I've added some weight to that front end, which is good. It's what I need for traction over my front wheels, especially when out in the woods and in the mud. This has been drying now for a few hours. I just want to make sure the glue has fully dried throughout the plastic. So I've just left it above the radiator airing. Now, next stage is basically just going to be removing the masking tape, and then the magical process can begin. Has to be one bit done there. So that's the masking tape removed, and as you can see, they are looking grey but with a texture. Now, I don't know if that's focusing there. So if you're doing this in a tin shed or something, then I recommend covering the walls, because you're going to rot your shed, because we're squirting salt water around now. I'm not too bad here on this worktop. I've got nothing that's going to corrode on me. So now for the magical process. Taking your salt water mix, or even just water. I'm using salt to speed up the process. You just want to just let in that mist and dampen down all the iron. I am getting a few big drips out of this, but it doesn't make no difference. Now this is going to be a repetitive process now, and it could be over a day, could be over 2 days, could be over a week. But every time this dries out now, you want to come back to it and just keep squirting it. So drying times on these can vary. So I'm going to come back to it, keep my eye on it, and then every time it's dry, I'm going to top it up with the salt water, and I'm going to keep coming in and showing you the process over the next few days, because could take a few days, but with the salt, as I said, it's going to accelerate it, and that way you can see, hopefully, see the change. Well, you will see the change, you're not going to see it happening live, but yeah, you are going to notice a significant difference, because it's gone from the grey primer looking iron, and it's just going to be rust. It really is going to be real rust. So I'm going to hang this up to dry somewhere, and I'll check back in with you guys later. So I've had my tea, took the little one to the park, and come back, and it's had a second squirt of the salt water. So again, that's drying, and I'm probably going to leave that overnight now, and then come and look at that again in the morning, and then we can proceed with repeating the salt method. And the paper here on what we've been using, the excess, it's already going rusty because it's super fine dust. The thick parts where it are clumped, that's still breaking in. And also on the truck arches, starting to get slight discoloration there on the corner of the arch. I actually caught that hanging it up and scraped it clean off. Like I say, I'm using a PVA mix. There are much stronger glues to use, but because I was doing it over such a vast area, and I needed something a bit more practical for that situation that ain't going to dry on me instantly. And also on the other arch, it's starting to slightly discolor around that area there. So like I say, I'll check back in with you guys in the morning. Can you see the discoloration there on the fine dust, which has kind of acted as like an overspray, which rust would spread. But yeah, there, I'll try and focus up a bit closer for you. There. That is genuine rust, guys. I can't wait to see how the arches turn out. So possibly tomorrow, the next day, we should see a significant amount of difference. So I'll check back in with you then. So I'll see you all in the morning, guys. Good afternoon. So now we're about 24 hours in since I actually started the saltwater phase on the iron filings. I've given it a squirt this morning, and the last one before that was what you saw on the video before I went to bed. That was the final squirt. So I'm going to give it another one, but already you can significantly see a major difference. I mean, just look up against like the hood there, it's totally different shade. Just trying to keep the camera focused. I've wet it through again, and I've just got it sat over the radiator just to try and speed it up a little bit more. But look on the paper, you can see the fine stuff, definite rust. A bit harder to tell at the minute while it's wet, but as it dries out, I shall see more. So again, it's the next day. We're now on the third day, and this is the morning. So rather than spraying it with salt, I'm just going to leave it outside to hang to dry for a few hours. But already there you can see, look at it, beautiful rust, real rust. We're about 72 hours in now since I first actually started the process, and well, we're gonna see. It's all like a golden. In fact, we'll take this outside into some natural daylight and have a look. So here it is, guys. Now this patch here, this is where I first originally caught it when the glue was wet and it tore it and cracked it and stuff. It has started to bubble, but that is nothing to do with the technique. That was me while the glue were wet. So I will go over that again and repatch that in. You can already see it's a little bit shiny around here. That's not salt or anything, that is actually PVA glue back over that to keep that little rust. I actually like the cracking effect and stuff. It's like genuine rust bubbling, and just as rust does. So this is day 3, like I said, approximately 72 hours in. I did use salt water for this process to accelerate it, and over the next coming days this is going to change and the colour's going to change, and it's just going to keep on becoming more and more and more effective. But just look at that, guys. I know you can see a little bit of salt there, but I wouldn't worry about stuff like that. You can gently keep wiping it off. But I am going to be just hitting it with the water from now on, so it will eventually just dissolve itself. And then what I will do, once I've got the rust where I want it, I will add a tiny drop of PVA glue into my water mix just to keep spraying, just to create like a seal. That way I won't get the shininess like I have on the other side. But still, it looks effective. So now I'm quickly just going to bolt up the parts that I've removed off this truck, and then we'll see how it looks. But I think all this chrome and stuff, now that it's got rusty arches, is going to have to go. I think I'm just going to have to rust everything. The stacks, the wheels. I don't know, the shine is going to look lost. But this is just to show you how to create rust. This isn't me weathering my truck in any specific way for looks or out. This is just a perfect body to use as an example. There you go. Real rust. Now remember, you can air this outside and stuff, because the air will help with the corrosion process. And it's that simple. Like I say, the most time consuming part of it is to just keep spraying it a couple of times a day. Spray it, give it a few hours, spray it again and repeat. So if you like that tip, do feel free to like the video, share the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I shall catch you all in the next one. Ciao for now, guys.